Good evening, I am Charles Montgomery, and I'm your host tonight for Charlie's Chatter. Tonight, we're going to start with the NFL. Last night on Thursday Night Football, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Denver Broncos 30-6 to improve to 5-2. This came without Patrick Mahomes, who in the second quarter injured his right knee on a QB sneak. He was removed from the rest of the game and had an MRI earlier this morning, Friday morning, and it was notified that he broke his kneecap, actually dislocated his kneecap, and he will miss at least 3 games. Moving on to the MLB, as we speak right now, the Houston Astros are playing the New York Yankees in Game 5 of the ALCS. The Astros leading 3-1. The Yankees right now on the top of the second inning lead 4-1. That is currently going on as we are recording this video, so a little bit behind, but it's fine. Moving on, college football, we have Charles Montgomery, our reporter, out at Milan Puskar Stadium ready to do an update, so we will send it out to him. Okay, thanks, Charles. It is me, Charles Montgomery, out here reporting for Charlie's Chatter. I'm at Milan Puskar Stadium, where it will be a very quiet Saturday afternoon as the West Virginia Mountaineers are in Norman, Oklahoma, to take on the 5th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners. The Mountaineers will have starting quarterback Austin Kendall in the lineup as he got the nod Thursday night despite suffering a chest injury against Iowa State last Saturday. The Mountaineer defense will have a tough test on their hands with Jalen Hurts at quarterback for the Sooners, who has been a clear-cut Heisman favorite. That's it for me here at Milan Puskar Stadium. Send it back to you. Thank you, Charles, for that nice update out there at Milan Puskar Stadium. Stay warm in your really cool-looking shorts. So now we're going to do a little bit of a preview here for the top 25 games coming up this Saturday. Starting off, number 3 Clemson at Louisville. Cardinals, unranked, but a very dangerous opponent. They're coming off a road victory against ranked Wake Forest last Saturday without their starting quarterback. So Louisville, a little bit of danger there for Clemson, but I don't see it really. The Tigers, they have played down to their opponents. They've not been dominating like a lot of people expected them to, but I don't see it. I don't see it. I think Clemson wins it, and they keep moving on undefeated. They are a 24-point favorite. Number 9, Florida at South Carolina. If you haven't been following South Carolina or just haven't been following college football at all, South Carolina pulled off the upset of the season last week at number 3 Georgia. South Carolina won it in overtime as Rodrigo Blankenship, goggle man, hooked one, actually pulled it left on a field goal to tie the game in overtime. So South Carolina with a huge upset. And then Florida also coming off a loss. They were at LSU last weekend. The Tigers showing their dominance, making a case to be the number 1 ranked team in the country. Put on a nice show. Florida looked good early but couldn't put it together in the second half. And LSU still undefeated. Florida, they got their 1 loss, but they're still in the top 10 at number 9. I think Florida survives. I think it's going to be a close game. They're only a 5.5-point favorite. It's not a walk away. They're not going to roll in, roll out. Not what I think, but you never know. Going on, number 11, Auburn is at Arkansas. Nothing there. Auburn, they're a solid team. They're a very good team. Their defense, underrated. I don't hear a lot of people talk about their defense. They like to talk about Bo Nix and Kerryon Johnson and Eli Stove and those guys like that. They're a solid defense, a very good pass rush. I think they get it done. Arkansas, not a good team. I haven't heard of Arkansas football for about 5 years now, so that's to say enough. Number 2, LSU at Mississippi State. Like I was saying, LSU's making a case to be number 1. There were a lot of people talking this week that they should be number 1 over Alabama just because they've beaten 2 top 10 teams. One of those wins coming at Texas. So I truly believe LSU, based off of schedule, they should be the number 1 team. Yes, Alabama, in the end, when they actually have to play real opponents, they will be a solid team. But LSU right now, in my book, number 1, Joe Burrow, competing with Jalen Hurts to be the Heisman Trophy winner. They're both playing at an extremely high level. LSU, they roll into Starkville. They roll out with a nice victory. Number 12, Oregon at number 25, Washington. To be honest, I didn't know Washington was still ranked. I've really not followed college football that closely lately, but Washington, I'm kind of surprised they're still ranked. It is one of only 3 ranked games this weekend, so that's not great. Not a lot of ranked matchups going on, but you never know. Oregon, haven't followed them too much since the Auburn game when the Tigers pulled off the victory to get the season started, but still a great team. Only 1 loss, looking good. But like I said, Washington, how are they still in? They're 5-2, not a bad record, but their losses come against California and Stanford. California, the loss came a few weeks ago, early on in the season. It's it's a decent loss. California was still worth talking about then, but now California, not that good of a team. They're not ranked. They've really fallen out. Still receiving votes as I look here at the AP poll, but they're not in. And then also, they lost to Stanford. Stanford, very questionable team going into the season. I wasn't very confident in them, and I was right. Stanford's not a good team. That's a bad loss for Washington, but back to the game, Oregon gets the win. Justin Herbert, he's playing at an extremely high level. He's not really high in the Heisman race right now, but he's still a very capable quarterback, easily a top 5 quarterback in the draft in April. Number 18, Baylor at Oklahoma State. Little Big 12 action for you. What a year for Baylor. You got to kind of root for them a little bit. What a turnaround that program down in the dumps only a few years ago. They turned it around. They're 6-0. First time in a long time they've been 6-0. And Oklahoma State, not the best team, but not the worst team. You just never know. Mike Gundy can pull something and really shock us. But Baylor, I think they're going to get on 7-0. They're the only other undefeated team in the conference other than Oklahoma. I'm not saying they're competing with Oklahoma to be top dog in the Big 12, but they might, surprise some people. But we'll see. I think Baylor, though, they get the win Saturday in an afternoon matchup, and they get ready for their Thursday night game against us. So not looking forward to that as we have to go to Waco. But Baylor, they get a nice win. They get to 7-0. Number 17, Arizona State at number 13, Utah. You know how I feel about the Pac-12. I've made that pretty clear in basketball and in football. And it's going to be a pretty boring weekend when 66% of your ranked matchups are Pac-12 games. 2/3. 2 out of 3. That's it. Pretty bad. But I like Arizona State. I watched them against Michigan State about a month and a half ago. Solid game. Of course, Michigan State probably should have won that game if their kicker can make a field goal. But Arizona State, they're a decent little team. I like Herm Edwards. I've liked what he's done. He's revitalized that program. They have one loss. It was Colorado. That was a few weeks ago. That's not looking like a great loss right now because Colorado hasn't looked good lately. But at that point in time, it wasn't a bad loss. Colorado was kind of shocking us a little bit. But then Air Force, the Falcons, went out there and beat Colorado at home. So you never know. But I think Arizona State's going to have some trouble. Number 13, Utah, they are definitely competing with Oregon to be top dog in the Pac-12, despite it being the Pac-12. But I think Utah gets the win. The Utes, very solid team. Haven't really talked about them at all this year. I'm surprised that they're still in the top 15. Just haven't heard about them. But they're a good team. I think they get the win. Number 16, Michigan at number 7, Penn State. That is your third and final top 25 game of the weekend. Michigan, I think they're a joke. After that Wisconsin game, they've kind of redeemed themselves with a couple wins, but still not a very solid team. Those wins came against little opponents, not great teams. I think Harbaugh is going to be looking for a new job soon. I think this is it. I said that at the beginning of the year on one episode a few months back that Harbaugh is going to be looking for a new job. I think they're going to struggle. I think Penn State is going to come out and they're going to roll. I think Penn State's going to look really solid. They're going to continue to be undefeated, setting up for one incredible matchup against Ohio State here in a few weeks. Wrapping it up, number 1 Alabama hosting Tennessee. Always a big rivalry there. Of course, it hasn't been for a while since Tennessee has been Tennessee for the last few seasons. And someone needs to explain to me, how does Jeremy Pruitt still have a job? How does he have a job? I was saying 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I don't know how long ago it was, but a while ago, I was saying he was going to get fired. And they didn't. They've hung on to him. They've actually gotten 2 wins. They're 2-4. They're not that bad. Well, they're pretty bad. 2-4 is not great. But he's still there. Pruitt looking like he'll finish out the end of the season. But I think Tua Tagovailoa could be looking at some records. He's already had a pretty incredible season so far, definitely making his case again for the Heisman Trophy. I think he's going to look pretty darn good against Tennessee Saturday. I think it's going to be pretty bad. I think the Tide rolls. They continue to stay as the number 1 team. They keep just a few votes ahead of LSU. So that is it. That is my college football preview. Hope you guys enjoyed it. First time doing this kind of thing, YouTube thing, episode here instead of doing a typical podcast episode that I'd upload. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.